cherisher, nourisher, sustainer, and master of the universe, the most gracious, the most beneficent, the most merciful. Ya Allah, it is only you that we worship and is your guidance that we seek. Ya Allah, keep us on the straight path. Ya Allah, shower us with your choice of blessings. Ya Allah, shower us with your mercy. Ya Allah, guide us. Greetings, salam, salutations on our beloved Nabi Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. 4 minutes past 8 on this beautiful Saturday morning, the 16th of November 2024, 14th of Jumada al-Ula 1446. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to Rise and Shine on Radio ALANSAAR. My name is Faisal MJ Sulaiman, and I'll be your host this morning for the next hour, inshallah ta'ala. My team this morning: Siba Niso engineering for me after a very long time, Wasima Bucks attending to logistics, and of course the program has been produced by Hajra Kota. That's your Rise and Shine team this morning. Let's start off our program with a bit of inspiration, and let's listen to Noman Ali Khan, and he's going to talk to us about Allah wants to lighten our burden.
Radio ALANSAAR, Durban 90.4 FM, Peter Maritzburg 105.6 FM.
Guidance has finally come. Now you know how to live your life. Now you know what is right from what is wrong. Now you know who your Rabb truly is. There are other religions in the world who believe in God and study their concept of God, and you will find something twisted and turned in every one of them. Study, just forget about the religious rituals and the practices. Just study what they think about God. Just how they see God and how we understand Allah and what Allah told us about himself. How he introduced himself to us. How he purified all of the corruptions that were associated with him. Some religions had gods. The only way to make those gods happy is you have to sacrifice someone or something. Some gods only happy with one race, not happy with any other race. Some gods, other people, you can't even talk to that God directly. You have to go through somebody else to talk to that God. That's the systems that were in place. And Allah cleansed all of that and connected us to him directly, subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's actually part of the meaning of tasbih, to remove all of the impurities from understanding who Allah is. We're celebrating the return to the religion of Ibrahim alayhi salam. That's what we're saying. Just like he broke all the idols, you know his story. We're actually celebrating that Allah restored the original teachings of Ibrahim alayhi salam and made them permanent until Judgment Day. That's what we're celebrating. We're celebrating the obedience to Allah on his terms. People didn't know how to make their God happy. So they said, maybe if we kill the first, we kill a baby, then their God, some people sacrifice children to make their gods happy. Other people, dance naked to make their God happy. They tried to get creative. What does this God want from us? Because some people wanted rain. They're like, the rain's not coming. We have to have a special ritual to make it rain. Or we're about to go to war. We need a special ritual to win this war. What do we do for our God to become happy? And Allah made it very clear to us in his book, what does he want from us? And in fact, first he let us know that his relationship with us is not even a transaction. You don't do something for Allah and only then Allah does something for you. It doesn't work that way. Allah provides anyway. Inna Allaha huwa ar-razzaq. Ma uridu minhum min rizq wa ma uridu an yut'imun. I don't want them to provide me. I don't want that they should feed me. Allah is the one who keeps giving over and over again. Allah is the one who gives. So we don't have to go to some temple and make a sacrifice and put it in front of the idol and wait for something good to happen. We don't need to do that. We could just make dua to Allah, who's our raziq anyway. He was providing us before we could even open our mouth. He was providing for us before we could even speak for ourselves. He provides even the disbeliever. This is what Allah does. Allah introduced us to what does he. So it's not that we're in a transactional relationship with Allah, but Allah introduced us to what is it that he finds pleasing. How do you become someone who's content with your Rabb and your Rabb is content with you? The few good things he wants you to do. The few harmful things he wants me to stay away from. يُحِلُّ لَهُمُ الطَّيِّبَاتِ وَيُحَرِّمُ عَلَيْهِمُ الْخَبَائِثِ. He will make good and pure things permissible for them. He will make filthy things impermissible for them. That's what Allah gave. He made life easy. Allah said, يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ لِيُخَفِّفَ عَنْكُمْ وَخُلِقَ الْإِنسَانُ ضَعِيفًا. Allah wants to make your burden lighter for you. Allah wants to lighten your burden. Life is hard, and when you follow Allah's word, life becomes easier. He wants to remove burdens from you. And human beings were made weak. We make bigger problems for ourselves, and Allah has helped us remove those problems just by obeying Him, just by obedience.
Getting you through your day. Radio ALANSAAR.
WhatsApp us now on 060 904 1056.
Radio ALANSAAR. 24/7. 365.
मेरे अल्लाह 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 मेरे अल्लाह मेरे अल्लाह मेरे अल्लाह मेरे अल्लाह तू रहीम मेरे अल्लाह. You listen to Rising Channel Radio Al-Ansar, and of course, so coincidental, Sibuniso plays and Nasheed or a Nazm, and actually it's more a zikr, I think. And he plays this just when I get a WhatsApp from Brother Yusuf Patel saying, "Who is Allah? He is Allah. None has the right to be worshipped but He, the all-knower of the unseen and the seen." Open. He is the most beneficent, the most merciful. He is Allah. None has the right to be worshipped but He, the King, the Holy, the one free from all defects, the giver of security, the watcher over His creatures, the Almighty, the Compiler, the Supreme. Glory be to Allah. High is He, above all that they associate as partners with Him. He is Allah, the Creator, the Inventor of all things, the Bestower of forms. To Him belong the best names. All that is in the heavens and the earth, glorify Him. And He is the Almighty, the All-Wise. And this comes from Surah Al-Hashr, chapter 59, verses 22 to 24. Thank you so much for that, Brother Yusuf Patel. Message comes from Brother M.H. Osman. Assalamu alaikum, Faisal Bhai. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Always a pleasure listening to you. Alhamdulillah. I simply loved India crushing South Africa 3-1 in the T20. I am old school and just cannot support South African sports. Enjoy your day and be safe, MH. Mr. M.H. Osman, Jazakallah khair for the message. I differ with you, but of course, that's for another day. Another message comes from Sister Leila Mehta. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to the blessed Ummah of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Peace, blessings, and salutations be upon Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah for another blessed day as it glorifies from sujood. Never allow your mindset to pull your reliance in your Creator away from you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant you and your family barakah, ease and protection. Ameen. Have a blessed and safe weekend. Salams and duas, Sister Leila Mehta and family. And then we go on to inspiring reflections. Tawakkul means having complete trust in Allah even when things seem impossible. I think that is very, very, very important. And the hadith that states is Bismillahi walhamdulillahi wassalatu wassalam ala Rasulillah. It was narrated that Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu said, when Jibreel alayhi salam was with the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he heard a sound from above like a door opening. Jibreel, peace be upon him, looked upon toward the sky and said, "This is a gate in heaven that has been opened, but it was never opened before." He said, an angel came down from it and came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and said, "Receive the glad tidings of two lights that have been given to you and were never given to any prophet before you. The opening of the book, that's Surah Al-Fatiha, and the last verses of Surah Al-Baqarah. You will never recite a single letter of them, but you will be granted it." Subhanallah. The next message comes from Sister Ruqayya. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My brother Faisal Bhai on the Rise and Shine team and the Rise and Shine team. The most painful tears are not the ones that fall from your eyes and cover your face, but the ones that fall from your heart and cover your soul. If you want to know someone's mind, listen to their minds, listen to their words. And if you want to know their heart, watch their actions 100%. Time does not change people. Time reveals the real face of people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala आप और आपकी family को हमेशा खुश और सलामत रखे इंशाल्लाह आमीन. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you, my Faisal Bhai, your family, your team, and the entire ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That message comes from Sister Ruqayya. And the next message comes from, another message from Brother Yusuf Patel. And he's got a disclaimer. Okay, I'm just going to get this right. Yes, he's got a disclaimer. He says, a bit long, but worth the while. Salams and duas. One day I had a fight with my mum and shouted at her and did not have my lunch. I went out with my friends. Okay, I just want to get this right now. Sivanisam, this is not settling in so well. If you just work with this a little. I'm not sure how we're going to do that, but okay. Okay, that's it. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay. It says a bit long. Oh, it's just jumping all the time. Okay, we're going to read this shortly. Okay, let's take a nasheed break. We'll continue with this, inshallah.
ਕਿਸਨੂੰ ਮੈਂ ਹਾਲ ਸੁਣਾਵਾਂ ਦੇਨੀਆਂ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਸਦਾਵਾਂ ਕਿਸਨੂੰ ਮੈਂ ਹਾਲ ਸੁਣਾਵਾਂ ਦੇਨੀਆਂ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਸਦਾਵਾਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਅੱਲਾ ਤੂੰ ਰਹੀਮ ਮੇਰੇ ਅੱਲਾ ਤੂੰ ਕਰੀਮ ਅੱਖੀਆਂ ਚੋਂ ਹੰਝੂ ਵਗਦੇ ਤੇਰੀ ਰਹਿਮਤ ਵੱਲ ਤੱਕਦੇ ਅੱਖੀਆਂ ਚੋਂ ਹੰਝੂ ਵਗਦੇ ਤੇਰੀ ਰਹਿਮਤ ਵੱਲ ਤੱਕਦੇ ਲਾਜ ਮੇਰੀ ਤੂੰ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਪਰਦੇ ਰੱਖਣਾ ਤੂੰ ਸਭ ਦੇ ਲਾਜ ਮੇਰੀ ਤੂੰ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਪਰਦੇ ਰੱਖਣਾ ਤੂੰ ਸਭ ਦੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਵੱਲ ਮੋੜ ਨਿਗਾਹਾਂ ਦੇਨੀਆਂ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਸਦਾਵਾਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਵੱਲ ਮੋੜ ਨਿਗਾਹਾਂ ਦੇਨੀਆਂ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਸਦਾਵਾਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਅੱਲਾ ਤੂੰ ਰਹੀਮ
Okay, Sibang, so to the rescue. Thank you. Okay, the message says a bit long but worth the while. Salams and duas. One day I had a fight with my mum and shouted at her and did not have my lunch. I went out with my friends and had food. Later, when I came back, I hesitated to face my mum, so I went to my room and started watching TV. Then my dad came to me and asked why I didn't have lunch. I told him that I had food with my friends and I didn't want to have food cooked by my mum as I had fought with her. He listened to what I said and then said to me, you know, I sometimes don't like what your mum says or what she does, but have you seen me shouting at her or fighting with her? I said, no. He said, if you or me or your sister fight with your mum, then we can go out with our friends or colleagues and have food, chill out and come back whenever we want. But have you ever thought of your mum after you shout at her? She will sit there and think for the whole day why you shouted at her, and she will not have food for the whole day. So think before you shout at her or fight with her. You have a whole world outside waiting to hang out with you. But for her, you, your sister and I are her world. So when any of us shout at her, then her whole world gets wrecked. For you, it's just a matter of few seconds of anger. So if you can suppress it for some time, you make her world a happy one. Wishing happiness to all great ladies, whom we call mother, sister, wife. We salute you.
Tweet us at ALANSAAR Radio.
Are you or a loved one battling the disease of addiction? Is your family, life, relationships, work suffering due to alcoholism and substance abuse? Zensai Treatment, Recovery and Wellness Center are addiction specialists offering specialized psychotherapy and naltrexone therapy to help overcome addiction. Zensai offers hotel-style facilities to allow your loved ones to regain their dignity and overcome alcoholism and drug abuse in the most comfortable setting possible. Fight addiction. Call Zensai Treatment, Recovery and Wellness Center, the addiction recovery specialist on 031 563 0751.
This and only this is Nightline.
Nightline is the only program that allows you to listen to the opportunity to voice your opinion on any matter or any topic that concerns you. Also on Nightline, we interview the famous, the not so famous, and infamous. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Brother Muhammad Varyawa, and with me in the studio is Dr. Anwar Jiwa. Join us every Saturday night from 8:30 p.m. till 10:30 p.m. on Nightline, the program designed especially for you, the listener.
As promised at last year's Durban Summer Cirque, part of our profits will go to making a real difference in our community. The ALANSAAR Foundation proudly completed its first borehole for the community of Redcliffe. With water shortages affecting many, our mission is clear. Let's bring clean water to more areas in need. Join us in making an impact. Call Outreach on 031-208-1601 or visit alansaar.org.za to help build more boreholes and transform lives.
The Sunday Lounge with Salma Kazi Wahab. 10 to 12, latest Nasheed, celebrity artist features, events, music from the Nasheed world.
Teaching you something new every day. Radio ALANSAAR. WhatsApp us now on 060-904-1056.
With the holiday season fast approaching, many of us are getting ready to enjoy some well-deserved holiday time. But as we head out to celebrate, it's important not to overlook the safety of our homes. In KwaZulu-Natal alone, over 500 suspects were recently arrested for property-related crimes, with burglaries making up more than half of those cases. We have online with us Mr. Mike Bolhays, a security specialist. Good morning to you, Mr. Bolhays, and thank you for joining me on the program this morning.
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity.
Absolute pleasure, sir. Now, Mr. Bolhays, could you give us an overview of the recent crime trends in KZN related to home burglaries and property-related crimes? And have there been any noticeable changes leading up to the holiday season?
Yes. So, first of all, let me say to the public, every year between October, November, and December, crime escalates with 200 to 300%. It's like the criminals jump in and do as quickly and as much as possible, because they also take a bit of a break. By the end of December and in January, we find that it's quieter.
Mm-hmm.
So especially now with the holiday seasons coming up, there has been an increase nationwide everywhere in all sorts of crimes, but especially in robberies, and that is quite concerning. So in this time, you need to be vigilant. You need to be absolutely taking notes literally and make sure that when you are away, that your property is safe. And this is where a few things is of extreme importance. One, a community must work together. If they can't work together, then it's no use. I mean, if alarm goes off, those who hear it must inform or call. There must be WhatsApp groups. There must be security groups working together, and they must know their local police station and have a relationship with it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is what is the ultimate way to prevent crime, and this is crime prevention. And then obviously the police will bring in a lot of more staff to be visible. Visible policing will make a huge difference. And then surely I'll get other questions about what else and what tips there is. But this is the most important thing, is having that relationship with your neighbors, your community, your street, your local police, and your security in the area.
No, undoubtedly, the neighborhood watches and the CPF make a huge difference, and they are normally your first port of call before you really get to the authorities as such. Now, Mr. Bolhays, what role do alarm systems, CCTV cameras, and early detection beams play in preventing burglaries? And how can homeowners assess whether their systems are adequately set up?
Well, it does, because if you have a good system and you portray it, if there's good signs up saying that this house is protected by CCTV cameras, is protected by this and this security company, and there's all kinds of signs up showing that you have a proper security system, that can pick up everything, alarms going off. And as I've said, if there's people that is going to react on it, it will deter criminals. Remember, the criminals of today they are opportunistic. They will drive around and see in this season where there's no lights, where there's nothing going on, but they will still plan. They'll make a proper plan. They won't just barge in. They'll check for dogs, for instance, and they'll check what systems there are, and they'll check who's the security in the area. They have already checked out the police. And unfortunately, at this stage, I must also say, sometimes you get corrupt officers in the authorities, in the security firms, as well as the police. So that's something that also must be, you must try to identify it and be careful for that. But if there's a proper, many groups involved, it deters. And with proper signs and proper systems, it definitely makes a difference.
Now, given the recent arrests for serious crimes in KZN, how do property-related crimes connect with broader crime trends like hijacking or robbery during the holiday season?
Well, you have got your levels of crime, your serious violent crimes, which is in the meantime has escalated very much in KZN. I've done many interviews this year, and KZN has been coming up all along. And that is kidnappings, rape, murders, extortions, etc., etc. But it does not mean that those very people being involved in that don't do other crimes as well. They might do hijackings, they might just do vehicle theft and smaller robberies and house robberies. But it's usually a split. Those that are on that level of serious violent crimes is in it for much bigger amounts of money. But you get your smaller groups then, maybe even part of the bigger groups, but concentrating on, taking in consideration that they know they can commit these crimes and can get away with it. So it's quite opportunistic, but planning it and then doing this, it's quite lucrative. I mean, these groups, if they rob houses, they have information, and then they would know further information that could be stepped up to the higher level of criminals, saying that this is a very rich businessman, so maybe we must hijack him at a stage, or this is where he works. So if you enter a person's house, there's in any way information of the whole family and more people that could be attacked or robbed.
Now, when residents come back after an extended absence, what precautions should they take before re-entering their homes?
Yeah, look, first of all, let me say that when you leave, guys, you must read the projects. I would highly appreciate it if the radio station would put up our projects. Our projects will inform you what to do before you leave. We have not concentrated on when you come back, but before you leave. If you take in consideration everything that we've advised before you leave, then that is the biggest part of the holiday season. Because when you come back, you can obviously make a couple of calls. You can ask others who are back or that you know to just have a look and see everything is fine. Because one of the precautions we do suggest is that somebody regularly visits the house, and that your relationship with your neighbors and the community and whomever you appoint at this stage just is in communication with you, giving you feedback of your property. But people must take care of their fish, their dogs. They must make sure that their systems is up and running, and they must make sure that if there's something in place, if power does go off, or if there's extreme weather damage, and what to do if there is a form of an attack, a part attack, or a complete break-in and real damage. So they must be actually visualize what could happen and what shouldn't happen, and then have all of that in place. And then when going, obviously making sure that the vehicle is in good order, the tires, making sure that you're not drinking and driving. You drive with a family, or if you fly, whatever you do, you must be responsible in South Africa. You need to take care, you need to plan it properly. I always advise you draw up a list and you tick the boxes and you discuss it with the family and you have a family meeting. and it's properly planned with extreme rules and regulations, because South Africa is unfortunately a dangerous country and crime can be committed around any corner.
Now, you did mention earlier that you'll share with us some tips, if I could put it that way, on how to protect our homes when we leave. Do you want to share some of those tips with us, sir?
Yes. All right. So it is always good to have if your system is done once, your property protected once properly, you can make use of it constantly during the year and especially when you're gone. So I believe in trigger lights. I don't believe in leaving lights on. I believe it's a good thing to have somebody regularly on the property. I believe that it's to make sure that there's nothing on in the house. Make sure your fridges are empty. And make sure there's nothing in the house that in any way wastes power and is going to go rotten or bad. But if you have no other option, only leave the most important stuff on. It's very important to make sure that the dogs and animals are looked after. It's very important that your system have a proper backup and that you have, as I've said, proper communications with those who are looking after your property. And it's very important that you don't leave anything obvious. Look, there's many advisors and many would disagree, say leave lights on, leave the curtains open. I don't believe in that. You close it up. You can just as well, they will know if somebody is there. Make no mistake. They will know. So close it up, close up the house properly, lock it up properly, make it extremely difficult, make sure that all the signs are up, make sure there's nothing valuable. Because if you have open curtains and you've got lights on during the night, they observe for half an hour or an hour. They don't see other lights come on. I mean, they're going to pick it up. But don't have anything valuable in the house. Take the stuff out of your safes and put it and take it somewhere else, or even take it with if you can, or take it to another secure place. Leave the safes open. Don't have any guns or anything in the house. All these things is difficult to do, but it's best to do it, especially if you're in a rich neighborhood and your house could be a target. Remember, the criminals is not going to go for somebody living in a shack. The criminals are going for a house where the car is expensive, where there's cars in the garage, and where there's a lot of electronic equipment, and it's a rich and a beautiful place. And then when you're on holiday, please look after your kids. Watch out for nightclubs. Watch out for drink spiking. Go out as a group. Watch out on the road. Be careful. Don't get involved in road rage. But especially watch out for entertainment areas and plan everything as a family together. You don't want your child coming back and say that the child has been assaulted or sexually assaulted. So make sure that your kids are safe.
Mr. Mike Bolhes, thank you very much for joining me on the program this morning and for having shared those tips with us. We will talk to you again as the the festive season approaches, and of course we will ask you to share more tips with us as well. So thank you very much. Enjoy the weekend. All the best to you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody. Be safe and God bless you all.
Thank you, sir. We spoke to Mr. Mike Bolhes, a security specialist, and he spoke to us about the precautions that we should take when leaving on holiday. And of course, even if we're at home, how to secure our homes, and of course, how to connect ourselves with our neighborhood watchers, the CPF, etc., etc., etc. Advice that is really, really important and something that we must take cognizance of.
Radio ALANSAAR, Durban, 90.4 FM, Peter Maritzburg, 105.6 FM.
तू पूजा मन को जा, 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 तू पूजा मन को
Message from Sister Hafiza. Assalamu alaikum, Faisal. Nice to hear your energetic voice. Never criticize anything created by Allah, for Allah has founded the beauty in what He created. By criticizing His creation, you are insulting Allah. Always be careful of Allah's wrath. Do good. Be good. Your rewards are great. Jazakallah khair for that message, Sister Hafiza. Another message that comes through. This comes through from Brother Yusuf Patel. And okay, Brother Yusuf Patel sends us some lovely messages, but I just got to get to him so that I can scroll them down correctly. Okay. He says that Mr. Average are everywhere. Lead the field with pride. Rise above the mundane and the ordinary. Always fight with your strength, but not with others' weaknesses. Because true success lies in your efforts, not in others' defeats. Never forget that there is one person in the world that you will be spending your entire life with, and that's your good self. So take care of your mind and your body, and always be proud of who you are. Beware. Dare to be different, but never to be indifferent. The pessimist complains about the wind. The optimist will expect the wind to change. The leader adjusts the sails. Salams and duas, Brother Yusuf Patel. Jazakallah khair for the messages, Brother Yusuf Patel. We're going to be listening to a short clip now. And the Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has asked world leaders at a UN climate summit to take notice of the environmental disaster caused by Israel as it continues to attack Palestinians and Lebanon. He made these remarks at a COP29 in Azerbaijan. Let's listen to this audio clip.
Baku's Olympic Stadium is hosting marathon sessions of a different kind. It's the conference of the parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, or COP29 for short. Leaders and representatives from nearly 200 countries are here, and as the world braces for the warmest year to date and plenty of talking at previous COPs, they're being told to get their act together.
Climate finance is not charity, it's an investment. Climate action is not optional, it's an imperative. Both are indispensable to a livable world for all humanity and a prosperous future for every nation on earth.
The UN chief's comments follow complaints from many developing countries. They say the developed countries, many of which are also the biggest polluters, are failing to fulfill their financial pledges.
The challenge of climate financing for the global South countries like Somalia and much of the African countries really needs to be taken stock of as part of the stock-taking exercise at the COP last time, is to understand what are the set of very peculiar and specific challenges that these countries face. Many of these countries, as we speak, are already having a lot of debt burden. When the very livelihoods and the dignity and independence of our people and productivity is totally disrupted by one cycle of events after the other, and people are caught in a vicious cycle of poverty.
At the summit, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan called on the world leaders to pay heed to another disaster.
While we are talking about leaving a fairer world for future generations, Israel's unlawful, immoral, and unconscionable attacks targeting Palestine and Lebanon continue. Unfortunately, the current government continues to massacre people, including children, women, and the elderly, while also causing a great environmental massacre. The chemicals that have seeped into the soil and groundwater due to Israeli attacks have already darkened the future of the children of Gaza. We believe that those who caused this serious humanitarian and environmental disaster should be held accountable in international courts.
He also highlighted Turkish efforts for the environment, including large-scale afforestation, efficient water and waste management, and much more. During his visit, Erdogan also met the leaders of Azerbaijan, Britain, Kazakhstan, Moldova, and Montenegro. In addition to bilateral relations, he also talked about the situation in the Palestinian territories, Lebanon, and Ukraine. The Turkish leader says these conflicts cannot be ignored if the world is serious about the environment. Hassan Abdullah, TRT World, Baku.
Follow us on Instagram at Radio ALANSAAR.
Don't miss the celebration. Join us as we mark the first anniversary of Checkers Foods Kawi Park with a live broadcast from the store happening on Saturday, November 23rd from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Come hang with Zahir Basa, Salma Ghazi and Siraj Basa and enjoy a day packed with excitement, amazing giveaways and unbeatable in-store specials. Bring your family, friends and neighbors too. Everyone's invited. Save the date, Saturday, November 23rd at Checkers Foods, Kawi Park. Checkers Foods, Kawi Park is halal certified by NIHT across the butcher, bakery and deli. We can't wait to see you there. Checkers Foods, Kawi Park.
Have you heard? Have you heard? Heard what? The latest. Join me, Kelly Ramazani, for a brand new, exciting show every Saturday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. for the ultimate guide to navigating the world of careers. We talk about side hustles, unpack careers that are in demand, careers that do not need a degree, job searching, career advancement, personal development, and so much more. Tune in every Saturday, 9 to 10 a.m. to unlock the path of your dream job.
ALANSAAR Helping Hands with Aisha Jamal brings you the Animal Welfare Campaign. Help us make a difference.
Hey, little
Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, "Verily, there is heavenly reward for every act of kindness done to a living animal." We are in need of cat food, dog food, blankets, shelter, weatherproof kennels, and funds towards the above, as well as towards urgent cases where animals require medical attention. WhatsApp 060-971-9955 or 084-3041-683. Drop-off zone 207 West Road, Overport. ALANSAAR, making a difference.
Radio ALANSAAR.
Since 2016, South Africans have faced a growing cost of living crisis characterized by massive increases in expenses that far outstrip the meager growth in salaries. The latest insights from Debtbusters Q3 2024 Debt Index presented by Executive Head Binay Segar underscored the deep financial strain felt by South Africans. Despite recent economic improvements, the underlying financial pressures remain daunting for many households. We have online with us Professor Bonke Dumisa, an independent economic analyst, and he'll be talking to us about the cost of living shock for South Africans. Professor Bonke Dumisa, good morning to you and thank you for joining me on the program this morning.
Good morning to you and your Radio ALANSAAR listeners, wherever they are.
Thank you, sir. What are the key drivers behind South Africa's persistent cost of living crisis despite recent economic improvements, sir?
Well, it's the short answer to that one is the CPI, the Consumer Price Index in South Africa, had been higher for some time, but we're happy that it did go down significantly from about 7.8 last year to as low as 3.8% at the last announcement for September. And that made things look better. However, the sad reality about the Consumer Price Index, the official one, is that it's a basket of goods, the average basket of goods across South Africa. So we are talking about an average basket of goods for people who are earning over R500,000 per month, with people who are earning nothing per month. And you know the average of that. Hence, it's not really that helpful. So with the people who are employed and are well paid, the inflation rates mean something. But for the people who are unemployed or are paid very little, the inflation figures do not mean much. Hence, people must know that for the lowest paid worker or someone who's unemployed, the bite of the inflation rate is much more than the bite on a person who's well paid. And that's when then this whole issue about the cost of living comes in. Unfortunately, and many people will not like what I'm going to say, but one has got, as an analyst, one has got to be truthful. Unfortunately, the amount of money, the salaries or wages that people are paid have got very little to do with okay, let me put it this way. What people are paid at work has very little to do with the inflation rate. What do I mean? The manner in which employers calculate how much they're going to pay the people who work for them is based on what it is that those people are bringing to that business. So if the inflation rate in the country may be 3.8%, but the cost of doing business for the employer may be much higher because it's a different sector. And the employer is going to pay those people based on what they are experiencing there. That is where the disconnect is, unfortunately. So the people from Debt Busters, etc., I once worked in that area for a long time, helping in deciding whether people could be allowed to go into debt into debt rescue, etc. And it was a painful thing when you look at how many people are actually falling into that trap on a monthly basis. So we need to address that one, but for us to address that one, we must address it holistically. Next week, on Wednesday, the 20th of November, Stats South Africa is going to release the latest figures of the Consumer Price Index, the CPI, because on Thursday, the South African Reserve Bank will be announcing the new repo rate, which I think will be 50 basis lower. So for that whole thing to happen, we must look at what has influenced the inflation rate. We expect it to be relatively higher than the 3.8 in September. Why am I saying that? All these administered prices, like the electricity price, the higher rates in different municipalities, etc., have triggered another wave of inflation increases, but it's not going to be significantly higher. But I do not think that the inflation rate, which will be released next Wednesday, is going to be lower than the 3.8 we had in September.
Thank you for that, Professor. Now, Professor, many South Africans now allocate a high percentage of their income toward debt. What impact does this have on their ability to save, invest, or contribute to the economy through consumer spending?
Unfortunately, it does not contribute much to the economy in South Africa, because when people are paying debt, that only helps the banks, and that's why the one sector where the CEOs and managing directors have been getting over 40 million rands for the year, or even over 100 million rands for the year, has been in the financial sector, because as the interest rates went up, their performance bonuses went up as well. That is where the problem is in South Africa. We are a free market country, so we do not interfere with what people are getting. So the bosses get far more, excessively far more than the lower paid workers, because they believe, and it's true, they contribute more, but the margin between the two levels is bad. So when people are paying more from their money towards the settling of debts, that money does not go to the retail sector or to other sectors where other people are employed in order to generate more economic activity. Instead, it just goes to the select few who are in the financial sector. This includes mashonisa, the loan sharks, the illegal loan sharks who don't even declare their income to the taxman. So it is sad, and unfortunately, when people start doing that, paying more towards that, it means they actually endanger their health as well, because the money which should have been going to buy a diet which is good for those people is now moved. So that's when you'll hear people saying they had to choose between having 3 meals a day to having 1 meal or 2 meals a day, and they compromise on some of the more important but more expensive things like protein from meat, etc. It's a sad situation, but we cannot just sort it out without overhauling the whole economic systems to make sure that we have got structural reforms which will create more employment and have government paying less towards social welfare.
Professor, we've seen interest rate cuts and reduced inflationary pressures recently. Are these likely to bring lasting relief, or are they more of a temporary fix?
If ever we are able to maintain those gains, as I was saying, we did